Let us discuss the topic representation. Representation is a process where the voters choose their representatives to pass laws and carry out various activities of the government. The importance of representation are as follows. First point, leadership. Representation provides leadership and responsibility in decision making. Second, legitimacy. Representation provides the government legitimacy. Third, accountable. Representation provides a way of holding political leaders accountable for their actions. Fourth, opportunity to express. Representation provides an aggrieved citizen an opportunity to express. Fifth, replacing leaders. Representation provides a mechanism for replacing leaders if they are not committed to their work. Who is a representative? A representative is one who, within the limits of his constitutional powers, has been chosen to act freely and independently in the name of the people. A representative is elected on the basis of universal adult franchise, which is free, fair, and direct. There is no book available to a representative for guiding him in his functions. A representative should bear in mind the following principles. First point, spirit of service. The representative should be guided by the feeling of service to the people and should work with a sense of dedication. Second, protection of national interest. The representative must work primarily for the protection of national interests and secondly for regional and constituency interests. Third, regular attendance. The representative must attend the sessions of the legislature regularly and participate in the deliberations. Fourth, constructive suggestions. The representative should refrain from indulging in destructive criticism of government, but should make constructive suggestions to improve administration and the conditions of the people. Fifth, mouthpiece. The representative is also the spokesman of the political party, which has secured a majority in the legislature. Thus, the representative should serve the nation with sincerity and dedication and avoid the wrath of the voters. Qualifications of candidates. Representatives play an important role in the political system of a state. The qualifications vary from state to state, but certain minimum qualifications are laid down which are as follows. First, citizenship. One of the qualifications of a candidate is to be a citizen of a state. A person who owes allegiance to another state is not allowed to contest. Second, age. Every state lays down that the candidates contesting election must have attained few years above the age of majority. For example, in India, the age of majority is 18 years. Therefore, for the Lok Sabha, the age limit is 25 years and for the Rajya Sabha, it is 30 years. Third, residence. It is regarded as one of the qualifications of representatives. For example, in United States, it's a political practice that members of the House of Representatives should be resident of the electoral district. Fourth, deposit. Candidates are required to deposit money as per rules. The deposit is repaid to the candidate provided he secures more than a fixed minimum percentage of the votes cast in his constituency. For example, the candidates contesting Lok Sabha has to deposit rupees 25,000, whereas the SC candidates have to deposit rupees 12,500 and the ST candidates have to deposit rupees 5,000. A candidate may lose their deposit if they fail to secure 1/6 percentage of votes in an election. Methods of voting. There are different methods of voting which are as follows. First, public and secret voting. There was a time when votes were given in public. It was encouraged by thinkers like Montesquieu and Mill. It is unsuitable when the electorate is large and the voters are exposed to threat and are unable to exercise their vote freely. Hence, voting by ballot was introduced. The voter is given the ballot paper in the polling station of his constituency, where he has to make a choice of his candidate and fold the ballot paper and put it in the assigned box, which are later taken to the counting centers. Second, one man, one vote and plural voting. According to the principles of democracy, all are given the same rights and opportunities, and so each individual has the right to give only one vote. In plural voting, the individual has two or more votes depending on educational or property qualifications. This system has been discarded. It is against the principle of universal adult franchise and social justice. Third, postal voting. Generally, a voter has to go to the polling station and personally cast his vote. But under special conditions, voters are permitted postal voting. In India, certain categories of people are eligible to register as postal voters, which are as follows. A. Service voters and wives of service voters. B. Special voters. C. Voters on election duty. D. Electors subjected to preventive detention. E. Notified voters. Who is a service voter? Service voter is a voter having service qualification as per section 28 of the Representation of Peoples Act 1950, which are as follows. A. Being a member of the armed forces of the Union, or B. Being a member of the force to which provisions of the Army Act 1950 have been made applicable, whether with or without obligation. C. Being a member of an armed police of a state and serving outside that state. Or D, being a person who is employed under the government of India in a post outside India. E, wife of a service voter can be enrolled as per section 23 of the Representation of People Act 1951. The various categories of service voters has to apply for enrollment in the following application forms. Category A, B and E in Form 2. Category C in Form 2A. Category D in Form 3. The postal ballot for service voters is an election mechanism where ballot papers are distributed to voters via postal or digital medium, and after casting vote, return them by post. They can also avail voting through proxy, where the service voter delegates his voting rights to a representative he nominates. The names of service voters are registered in the last part of the electoral roll in each constituency, and it is the duty of the returning officer to dispatch the ballot paper to the service voter. A service voter who opts as a general elector at the place of his posting has to apply in Form 6. The service voter's son, daughter and staff cannot avail postal voting. Who is a special voter? Special voters are those holding offices that have been declared by the President to be offices to which subsection 4 of section 20 of the Representatives of the People Act 1951 applies. Such offices include the President, the Vice President, governors of states, and ministers of the Union and states. The special voters had to apply to the returning officer at least 10 days before the date of polling, after which the returning officer must send the ballot paper. Who are voters on election duty? Voters on election duty are deployed to places other than their own home constituency to supervise polling at the allotted stations. Due to this, many are unable to cast their votes in person at their home polling stations. The voter on election duty can either cast vote through postal ballot or at the felicitation centers before they are dispatched for the allotted polling stations for election duty. Form 12 is to be filled up by an official on election duty who wishes to cast vote through postal ballot. And Form 12A is to be filled up by an official on election duty who wishes to cast vote through election duty certificate. The voter on election duty had to apply 7 days before the poll begins. What is electors subjected to preventive detention? Preventive detention is when a person is held in police custody only on the basis of a suspicion that they would conduct a criminal act or cause harm to society. For those in preventive detention, it is the duty of the government to inform the returning officer of their names, addresses, and electoral roll number along with the place where they are being kept in detention. The voter under preventive detention has to fill Form 12B. The voter has to apply to the returning officer 10 days before the polling date, after which the returning officer sends by registered post to the officer in charge of the jail the appropriate ballot paper to cast his vote. Who are notified voters? Notified voters are eligible for postal voting on the basis of notification by the Election Commission in consultation with the government as per Section 60C of the Representation of People Act 1951. Absentee voter is one who is employed in essential services, example railways, aviation, journalist, Doordarshan, ambulance service, traffic police, health service, state transports. Absentee voter also includes senior citizen above the age of 80 years and person with disability. An absentee voter who wishes to cast vote through postal ballot should fill Form 12D, which should reach the returning officer within 5 days following the date of notification of election, and after voting it should be deposited in the specified center. The postal ballot paper must reach the returning officer before the hour fixed for the commencement of counting votes. A voter is maintained of the postal ballot papers being received each day to ensure that there is no chance of being lost. Any ballot paper that reaches after the scheduled time cannot be taken up for counting, but a record is kept of the date and time when they are received. The postal ballot papers are counted half an hour before counting of votes on EVMs.